Oh boy, guys, fragrances that you hate. I did a video some time ago last year about fragrances that you hate, and this is part 2, more fragrances that you hate. And the way I find out about the fragrances that you guys hate is by checking out my comments. It's easy for me to search my comments, and I can pull up all the words, certain words and things like that of fragrances that you guys don't like. Whether you have bought these fragrances and you hate them, or you blind bought them, obviously, and you hate them, or you're sampling samples and you cannot stand them and things like that. But 13 total fragrances that you hate. I'm going to let you know if I like them or love them or hate them myself. Find out about them coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today we're talking about 13 fragrances that you guys hate. I want to find out if you guys hate them as well, because these are, comments that I've received from individuals. So while you guys are watching, let me know if you hate the fragrance. Let me know if you love the fragrance, or you just like it and don't think twice about it. Put a comment down below, and also let me know other fragrances that you've checked out that you hate as well. So what I'm going to basically do is read a comment and talk about that fragrance. And I've printed out each of the comments like that, and I'm going to read it out loud to you. Some of them are pretty funny, so stay tuned to read all the comments or hear all the comments. But we're going to start off with the first one. I'm not going to say who commented. It might be a bit private, but obviously they're public comments. You can always go find them. I have a weird relationship with Apollonia, which I have a sample of. Tried it and hated it. Every time I see something about it, I forget I've tried it, go to the sample box, put it on, and hate it all over again. So this person is speaking about Apollonia by Xerjoff. This is it right here. Here we go. Can we focus? Yes. So I got to do a first preview of Apollonia back in 2019 when I visited Xerjoff's original Torino boutique. I sat with Sergio Momo, the owner and the man who started this brand, and we had shot a video together and we discussed Apollonia. If you haven't watched that video, please go catch that video, because you'll find out a lot of details about this fragrance. I personally love this fragrance, but I have to be honest, it's not like other Xerjoff fragrances in that it's pretty mellow, it's pretty subdued, it's a skin scent, but boy, it's a beautiful, beautiful skin scent. So I'm just wondering if this person doesn't like this, it's because it's not jumping out. It's not one of those fragrances that jumps out at you. You have to get close to someone to really smell it, and you have to pile it on if you really want to have projection and things like that with this fragrance. It's not meant to be that kind of a fragrance. It features white musk, orris, and white flowers. That's pretty much all the notes they credit for this. And it's a pretty simplistic fragrance. I would call it a skin scent. It is pricey for a skin scent, but man, it smells really, really fantastic. It's quite musky and also very, very clean. It's powdery with the orris. And the white flowers are there. It's floral, but they're kind of non-distinct flowers. You're not going to know what flowers they are. They don't stand out. It's not going to smell like tuberose. It's not going to really smell like jasmine very strongly. And, it could be like magnolia or something like that, because it's very non-distinct. But the combination is really, really beautiful. And I have a feeling this fragrance just doesn't jump out when this person is testing it to really come off and smell like something very substantial or smell like other Xerjoff fragrances. I have to be honest, also the bottle is really, really gorgeous. As you can see, I love the detailing on this bottle, what they've done to it. It's just really, really beautiful. And basically, the bottle itself, to me, is the smell of the perfume. That's what it smells like. It's very clean. It's very white, a bit cracked the way they've created the bottle. But man, it is a fantastic fragrance if you're into the idea of skin scents, if you like white musk and orris and white flowers together. Anyway, that's the first fragrance, Apollonia by Xerjoff. Really gorgeous fragrance. Now, do let me know if you are a fan of that, and do let me know why you love it, and do let me know why you hate it if you hate it. And if you're in the middle, tell me the reason why you hate it, or you don't love it too much, or you don't, you only like it a little bit. I'd like to find out. But moving on to the next fragrance, and this is a comment I received directly on the review for this fragrance. In fact, this is the first and last time I shot a review on a rooftop. So if you haven't watched this review, go catch it. I'm also wearing sunglasses because it was quite sunny there. So this comment says, "This is the worst smelling cologne ever. They sent me the wrong samples with my order. Horrible." So I don't understand what the wrong samples have to do with the actual fragrance from smelling horrible. I'm just wondering if they purchased the bottle and they hate it and they also got the wrong samples. I don't know. But the fragrance that they're talking about is Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade, this one right here. But Ombre Nomade is an oud fragrance and probably one of the best designer oud fragrances. In fact, I featured it in my top 20 designer oud fragrances video recently. If you haven't caught that video, please go catch that. Definitely one of the best oud fragrances from the designers, and I agree, it's really, really potent, it's strong, and it has quite a following. I don't understand why this person doesn't like it. I personally think the person themselves is not very experienced in the fragrance community. I'm going to use focus on the word cologne. So I personally think this person is a newbie in the fragrance community, and the fact that they're using the word cologne to describe this fragrance, they don't have a lot of experience with perhaps oud fragrances or fragrances outside of the designer world that's, selling at places like Macy's. That's my hunch. Otherwise, there's a huge following for this fragrance, and people really, really love it. The only people that are not really loving this fragrance are purists that love authentic Middle Eastern oud, because this doesn't really smell like that. So I'm just wondering now if the person that wrote that comment has actually sampled any authentic natural oud, what would they say about that when they're calling this the worst cologne? But this has notes of oud wood, benzoin tears, incense, raspberry, birch, amberwood, geranium, saffron, and incense. I have to agree, it's one of the best fragrances from the designers. In fact, it's one of the best Louis Vuitton fragrances. I really, really love it. Only thing that I think it's lacking a bit is rose, but they do have another fragrance called Les Sables Roses, which you can always, layer together to create a more of a rose oud kind of a combo. But it's a great fragrance, and I'm just wondering also if this person who hates this might circle back later, like a year or 2 years later, and say, oh, I really love this fragrance now, because that happens to everybody, and it happens to me as well. Like recently in my niche blue fragrances video, I highlighted 2 fragrances that I did not like at first. Later it grew on me that I really enjoy it. So perhaps that would happen to this person as well. But either way, I think Louis Vuitton's Ombre Nomade is definitely one of the better, designer fragrances that focus on oud. Moving on to the next fragrance, and this is a comment that I received probably on this video review of this fragrance. It's actually going to mention the fragrance right off the bat because they're using the name, so you're going to find out what fragrance it is. Zoologist Bat is by far the worst cologne I've ever worn. I had to shower twice to get the stink off of me. If you're curious how it smells, take a bunch of bananas, dig a hole a few feet deep, bury the bananas, then pour rotted milk on the dirt. Go back in a couple of weeks, dig up the banana dirt and rub it on yourself. You will smell like bat. That is quite funny. That's one of the funniest comments I've received. And I like receiving funny comments, or I would call that more like a creatively funny comment because of the creativity involved in coming up with describing a fragrance and all that good stuff. And I think that's, like I said, one of the funniest comments I've received. So they're talking about Zoologist Bat, and I don't know which version they have sampled. There was version 1 created by Ellen Covey, who has her own perfume house called Olympic Orchids. I believe that's what it's called. I haven't seen her in ages. She used to come to San Francisco Tiger Lily so many times, and I met her there, and I knew she had created the original. But something happened, and they had to redo the fragrance Bat from Zoologist, and a different perfumer created it. His name is Prin Lomros, who has a brand called Strangers Perfumery. So I have the Prin Lomros version of Bat. Here it is. And Bat to me is a complicated fragrance, very daring. I personally don't like to wear it. If I had to pick between the two versions of Bat, I do prefer the original Bat over the new Bat, but I would have to be honest and say both versions for me are unwearable. I've worn the original version and I've worn the second version. That's why I'm saying the first version is the preference. But you have to be in the kind of mood to enjoy this kind of a fragrance to wear it. And I like the artistic creativity behind the idea of this fragrance, but that's pretty much it. It's not a fragrance easily wearable for me. It's not. It's extremely overwhelming with the soil tincture earthiness and then the fruitiness of the banana-ish touches in here. So you got to be into soil tincture and to appreciate the idea of a bat cave to enjoy this fragrance. And it's challenging. It could be challenging for the people that are experienced with fragrances, in addition to people that are fairly new to the world of perfumery. As for example, that comment mentions the word cologne as well. So I take it that person is not very experienced in the fragrance community, and the fact that they're using the word cologne to describe a Zoologist Bat tells me that they're newbies and things like that. But I'm challenged with this fragrance as well. It's a daring fragrance. It's an out there kind of fragrance. This is not the kind of fragrance you would find at Macy's and places like that. In fact, you have to go to a niche perfume house to buy fragrances like this. They're not sold at department stores whatsoever. And I think they do a great job with their, animal-inspired fragrances. It's just Bat is definitely not one of the fragrances I crave and wear over and over again. There are fragrances at Zoologist Perfumes that I really like and love wearing, but definitely Bat's not one of them. But either way, Bat from Zoologist Perfumes, that is definitely a daring fragrance, very challenging to wear. And let's move on to the next one. But before I do, let me know your thoughts on all the fragrances so far. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Or do you love them? I'd like to find out. But moving on to a fragrance that's really, really popular in the fragrance community. And I'm going to read the comment first. The worst fragrance on me is BACCARAT Rouge. Apparently, saffron doesn't work with my chemistry. It literally smells like latex, Band-Aid to be exact, on my skin. I love it on other people though, so I don't think it is a bad fragrance, just horrible on me. It's crazy how skin chemistry is, reacted to people, because sometimes I hear this, I hear this quite a bit. Fragrances on someone smells horrible. The person wearing it says it smells horrible on them, but they smell it on other people, and those other people really, and they love the way it smells on other people. So it's got to be a chemistry thing, and somehow some notes or ingredients in fragrances just don't, react very negatively with some people. If I haven't told you this, I mentioned it many times. This fragrance was not a love at first sniff. In fact, it took me a couple of years to really appreciate this fragrance. I do love it now. I love the way it smells, but I hated it at first. So I wonder if this person will also come back to it and enjoy it later. I don't know. But BACCARAT Rouge is very, very popular. It's one that I think put Maison Francis Kurkdjian on the map. I mean, they've literally gotten all their great fragrances discontinued, and they've left the most popular, which is BACCARAT Rouge and some of the citruses. So it's got to be selling quite a bit. I have noticed that there's a bit of a change here, and I have been told that there were some ingredient bans or something. So this has been reformulated, those of you that are experiencing it differently. But what's this one all about? It's ambergris, ambroxan, saffron, jasmine, cedarwood. Yeah, and it has been reformulated. But I still love it. I love the way it smells. And this is the kind of fragrance that has major trail. If you're into the idea of trail and you hate this fragrance and you want to be noticed, maybe you'll smell like everybody else because there's so many people wearing this, plus all the clones that come after this too, then maybe find something else. But if you want to smell really, really great and get the attention of people, then try BACCARAT Rouge. I still love it. I love the red bottle version, the extrait, but that one definitely has more of an airiness, and people seem to love it. Anyway, let's move on to the next fragrance. This is the worst. This is a comment from someone that says, the worst for me is Chanel number 19. I cannot bear being in the same room as someone wearing it. It grabs bits of my lower intestine and pushes them into my throat. My head spins and I lose the will to live. It's powdery, vomit-inducing, and filthy. It reminds me of old women and people who think they are all that. Disgusting. That's pretty funny. I actually really love Galbanum, and this is one of my favorite Chanel fragrances. In fact, I love this more than Chanel number 5. Chanel number 19, bitter greens. Lots of them and lots of flowers. This is it right here. You can see the green color, and that's pretty much what you get with it. It's a galbanum overdose with flowers, and it's also very, very powdery. It has iris, the galbanum. There's lily of the valley here. It's a green floral. There's Ylang-Ylang. But it's a super fantastic fragrance, but definitely has classic touches. I believe it was launched in the 70s. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember the date. I can see somebody saying it smells like an old woman and things like that. But if you're into the idea of galbanum, you've got to get your nose on this, because there are other fragrances that are somewhat similar to this, especially Untitled by Maison Margiela, but it's much more modernized. There's Viper Green from Ex Nihilo, which utilizes the galbanum, but takes it into a very fresh direction. So there are other fragrances that are kind of like this, but this one does have the very classic touches that perhaps it's reminding this person of an older demographic, woman's fragrance. But it smells great. I don't wear it much nowadays. I have it stored away, and I have a full video on this along with the other flankers. This is the Eau de Parfum. We've got an Eau de Toilette, and we also have a Poudre version, I believe. I've forgotten. But if you want to find out more about Chanel number 19, go catch my review. But I think it's a phenomenal release from the House of Chanel. I believe it was created by Jacques Polge, but I absolutely love that fragrance. Let me know if you're a fan of it. Let me know if you hate it. Let me know if you're just so-so on it. So this next comment says, personally, I never understood the hype of Pasha Parfum. The opening is not bad, but the dry down is one of the worst I've ever had this pleasure of smelling. So I'm just wondering if this person that made that comment doesn't like classic fragrances. For me, this Pasha de Cartier Parfum is basically taking the classic and making it modernized. And the fact that maybe it dries down to kind of a classic smelling fragrance, they're not really liking that, and they don't like classic fragrances, because if you've ever sampled the original Pasha from Cartier, it's so classic, it's so patchouli, it's like a going out clubbing kind of a fragrance. Big trail, longevity to the max, launched in the early 90s, and I think that's the kind of fragrance it is, but it does have a very mature kind of a smell. And I think Pasha de Cartier Parfum also does, but modernized with that kind of ambery touches and things like that. They've added to this fragrance. I don't know, but I absolutely really love it. And for a while, it was one of my favorite designer signature line fragrances, because I think they've done a great job with it. Totally modernized it, but also kept all the classic touches there. And I have a feeling this person doesn't really like classic fragrances, but that is Pasha de Cartier Parfum. Really one of the best fragrances from the designers. And I think Cartier does some great releases. They do. Although the newest flanker, Noir Absolu, I believe that's what it's called. I've already forgotten because I'm not really caring for that fragrance. I think that one is a bit disappointing. But let's move on to the next fragrance. This comment came in to one of my videos, I believe, I can't remember where, but it says, please don't buy Red Tobacco, worst fragrance ever. Now, Red Tobacco is beast mode. So if you are not into beast mode, maybe that's why this person doesn't like it. It's overwhelming. It's strong. It's super strong, very long lasting. So maybe it just overwhelms some people. But Mancera's Red Tobacco happens to be one of my favorites, although I haven't been wearing it much. There's also other versions of it. I have a video on the channel. For me, it kind of reminds me of Carlisle from Parfums de Marly. And then it also reminds me a little bit of, I believe it's Arakis from Tiziana Terenzi. And if you think this is strong, try the Tiziana Terenzi version. It's even stronger than this. And they all three remind me of one another. I have a whole video on the three fragrances. You can search for it and find out about it. But tobacco, vanilla, cinnamon, oud, patchouli, saffron, incense, nutmeg, amber, and apples. It's a very, very potent tobacco fragrance with spices and fruity touches. It's not a cup of tea for everyone, I think. And I think what turns people off is that it's super overwhelming. That's my thoughts. Anyway, Red Tobacco from Mancera. I do enjoy it. It happened to be one of my favorites from that house. I don't wear it much now, but I still like the way it smells. But moving on to the next fragrance, but we're going to talk about the comment first. Sailing Day is one of the worst perfumes ever. It smells like baby powder talc. I actually felt suffocated as soon as I put it on me. It's not an aquatic parfum. There is no freshness, no fruitiness, no sea breeze, nothing. Terrible. Vanilla Vibes has a great vanilla with alcohol and something feminine in it like lipstick. It smells like vanilla and ouzo, the Greek drink. It has a boozing smell. It's the last time for me trying unisex perfumes. They smell very feminine. Anyway, so they're talking about Sailing Day. It is a marine fragrance from the house of Maison Margiela. Here it is. It's not one of my all-time favorites from this house, and I didn't like it as much at first. It has grown on me because I'm typically not the early adapter of aquatic marine fragrances, and this one definitely has. I'm not sure where they're getting the powdery touches. Maybe perhaps it has some powdery elements in there, but for me, it's very aldehydic, fresh marine. It has sea notes, aldehydes, seaweed, chili pepper, juniper, cedar, ambergris, coriander, iris, rose, and amyl salicylate. Who's a fan of this one? Let me know. Again, it's not one of my all-time loves. For me, the big fragrance from Maison Margiela's replica collection is By the Fireplace. Really love that fragrance. This one, it's kind of an afterthought, so I could leave it and not think about it ever. But I like having it here for some marine-themed fragrances for when clients come in. But I don't get how they got all these kind of other accords and notes from this fragrance. I would say just give it another couple of tries. Maybe you might pick up the marine touches. But either way, Sailing Day is from Maison Margiela. Let me know your thoughts if you're a fan of that one. But moving on to the next fragrance. My worst is Labo Bergamote 22. Waste of money. Disappears straight away. Can't smell anything. Only first, second, zest of lemon. That's all. Well, you are talking about a freshie here. And I think this fragrance needs to be worn when it's really, really hot outside. And especially if you are in humid weather. Dry weather might not last as much. And for me, humidity will make this fragrance come alive. Bergamote 22 happens to be my favorite bergamot fragrance. I absolutely love the way it smells. It's an intoxicating citrus fragrance with lots of floral touches. Bergamot, there's vetiver, there's grapefruit, there's orange blossom, petitgrain, musk, and cedar for green, floral, juicy, citrusy, sparkling fragrance experience. I wouldn't wear this in the cold of winter unless I want to pull it out and smell it, because to me that smell is just magical. It smells so authentic, so real, so juicy. I'm in love with that smell. It happens to be my favorite Le Labo fragrance and also my favorite bergamot fragrance. I just love the smell, but I can see the complaint about it not lasting too long. If you're dealing with longevity issues with the Bergamote 22, I would say layer it with something like Molecule 1, Molecule 2, not a perfume superdose or not a perfume, even something like I don't know what, to give it some strength and boost up the performance. Because yes, it is a citrus and probably doesn't have the best performance, but my recommendation for this fragrance is wear it in hot, humid heat. If you are in that kind of a country place, temperatures and things like that, this is going to smell great in those kind of places for me. Bergamote 22 is a fantastic fragrance. I absolutely love it. So let's go on to the next fragrance. What a disappointment this is. My worst purchase. I just wish they had put down why they don't like it, but they're talking about Dior's Gris Dior. Who's a fan of Gris Dior? I did a whole video on Gris Dior because it's become very, very popular from the House of Dior. They even did an ad campaign with the girl that plays Wednesday. Anyway, this is a chypre fragrance. It's a rose chypre modernized. It features rose, oak moss, patchouli, bergamot, cedar, amber, and sandalwood. It does have classic touches. Maybe they don't like the idea that it has classic touches. We don't know why they don't like it. They just say it's the worst fragrance. But I like it. It's not like a love for me, but I really enjoy it. And over the years, it's become a favorite of mine from the Dior Privé collection. What is it about Dior's Gris Dior that you like? And what is it about Dior's Gris Dior that you don't like? Let me know. Put a comment down below so I can find out. So the next comment comes in from, okay, unfortunately, I bought this perfume. This fragrance was the worst I've ever had, and it really lasts forever. Just use 2 sprays and you will smell fenugreek the whole week. I think this perfume contains a big amount of sotalone, which has a beast mode performance with caramel and fenugreek. So the fragrance they're talking about is Followed by Kerosene. Now, they are right. This stuff lasts. And I haven't sprayed it since the first time I sprayed it in the studio because the smell wouldn't go away from this room. I just shook it and I'm getting the smell already. The room smelled of this fragrance, maple syrup, for a week plus. I sprayed this, all the fumes got all over my clothes, including my pants. And I've dry cleaned my pants, I was saying, and it would still smell like it. And people said, why do you spray your pants? Do I have a habit of spraying pants? No. This stuff goes all over. Be careful. Spray it outside, then come in. Don't spray it in your clothes if you don't want it on you. Don't hang a jacket on clothes. I should say, don't hang a jacket next to clothes that has this fragrance on it because it's going to transfer over. It's like a disease. It's so strong and potent. I can see people are completely overwhelmed with this. Followed is coffee, maple syrup, and other notes. But man, it is beast mode, the strongest fragrance I own. And man, I can't get this stuff off. It is so super potent. Let me know what your experience is with that. I should report there's been some rumors that the stuff has been reformulated. I don't think it's true. I don't know who's starting these rumors, but somebody was messaging me, asking me, do you know anything about the reformulation? Blah, 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 blah. I said, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. So the person took a chance, bought a bottle, and they reported back, man, they said this is nuclear, lasts forever. So I don't think it's been reformulated. Somebody's out there spreading rumors about it. I don't know why, but this stuff is super, super potent. If you're into the idea of potency, get yourself a bottle of Followed. It is insane, insanely intense. All right, next comment says, Cruz del Sur 2 is the worst fragrance for me. Sour milk with some emojis of faces. So I do agree. This is not one of my all-time favorite Xerjoff fragrances, and I have a love-hate relationship with it. There's some parts of it that I like, the milky parts, because it's a milky lactonic fragrance. The other parts do have a weird, I don't know, something weird about it that turns me off. So I haven't fully embraced this fragrance either. It's mango, pineapple, cedar, musk, green leaves, floral bouquet, apple blossom. Where the hell is the milk? Because this is a freaking lactonic fragrance. It's so milky. It's almost like a fruit milk. I don't know if you've ever had fruit milk like we've had when we were growing up. Chocolate milk, strawberry milk. But this is more like a tropical fruit milk. So imagine pineapple and coconuts and mangoes and all these fruits mashed up, swimming in fruits with like caramel thrown in. It is a weird fragrance. I love it and hate it at the same time. Some parts of it really turn me off. Some parts of it I really enjoy, but I can't fully embrace it. And I can see why people have a hard time with this. Let me know if you're a fan of Cruz del Sur 2. I know people are fans of this. Some people are, some are not. Like I said, have a love-hate relationship with that one. And the last comment I'm going to read until after the bonus section or the outro, after the outro. Hindu Kush is the worst perfume, is the comment I received on a video. Well, it is one of my favorite Manceras. I have to be honest, if I was to pick between the two Mancera fragrances I discussed with you today, I would go with Hindu Kush over Red Tobacco because I appreciate the versatility of Hindu Kush over Red Tobacco. Red Tobacco is way overwhelming. You have to have the right time and moment to wear that fragrance. Hindu Kush is a fragrance I can wear all year round. In fact, for me, Hindu Kush smells great in the heat. It leaves such a sexy trail. Absolutely love it. But it is a different kind of fragrance. It supposedly has cannabis. I don't get much of a cannabis vibe. It's kind of got a minty, kind of camphoric touch, but with a sweetness and incensey touches. There's woods, spices, patchouli, amber, gaiac wood, vanilla, labdanum, and white musk. It's a very creamy fragrance. Absolutely love it. And I could wear it all year round. And for me, as I was saying, summertime, heat, I wore it in Italy one summer. It was so fantastic smelling. I was leaving my trail everywhere. I could smell my trail when I go back into that little cloud I left. And it was smelling super fantastic. Really love Mancera's Hindu Kush. And as I said, between the two Manceras, I would hands down pick Hindu Kush over Red Tobacco because of its versatility and the fact that I can wear it when it's really hot outside and not be overwhelmed with it. But either way, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Hindu Kush from Mancera is the last fragrance I'm talking about today. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Do let me know if you like, love, or hate. Also, let me know other fragrances that you hate, that you love, that you like. Mostly hate. I want to find out what you guys hate so I can see if I can, connect with you guys and things like that. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Okay, we have a bonus section, but it's not a fragrance. It's an actual note. Patchouli smells like my dog's butt if she ate garlic. Now, this is a fucking funny comment. Worst smell out there. I've worked around formaldehyde, around dog waste lagoons, composting turkey carcasses, and asphalt being poor. All have very strong odors. I would take the smell of any of these over this foul odor. Just today, my daughter came back from the Y where the daycare worker was wearing it, and it got on her. Looks like it's bath night for sure. This is all about patchouli? Oh my God. Compared to all that crap, formaldehyde, hog waste lagoons, turkey carcasses smell better than patchouli? Come on now. Patchouli is God's gift to perfumery. It is my #1 favorite note. It's like a weed. It's a green, like a herb, almost look like mint, and apparently it is from the mint family, and it's used in perfumery. It's been used in perfumery for years and years and years. In fact, somebody sent me an article about some ancient digs in Spain, and they uncovered some old perfume bottles from the Romans, and they detected patchouli in it or something. I mean, it's been used forever. It smells great. It's got great longevity, and it's one of those notes in fragrances that leaves a great trail, sexy trail. It's a fantastic note. I love it. And I don't know how people can hate it, but man, if you connect it to this stuff, composting turkey carcasses and hog waste lagoons, oh my God, I can't believe that they would actually connect patchouli with that stuff. But noses are different. People smell things differently. I absolutely love patchouli. Let me know if you're a fan of patchouli or you hate patchouli and you think it smells like that stuff too. Put a comment down below so I can find out. See you guys later. Bye-bye.